actually on the ideal line that you'd come through there, the natural line, it's rough. It's always had some boom, boom, bumps in it. I have actually started swinging out about 3 feet off the curb and letting it come out a little wider through there the whole way.
That's kind of where I'm talking about, because I know the feeling, but I need information.
Alright, go ahead. So the dirt gets drawn in there, because you know the corner's kind of hammered down like that. When the rain does, it washes everything down there and it hugs under the curb. So I also notice that when I go down there, it kind of tucks the front. So especially today, it's going to be bad. I wouldn't be down there by the curb today. But I do like, now I've gotten to where I've found that if I go about 5 feet wider, I got a little bit more camber, right? So I go through there a little faster and the bike hugs down harder. And then I let the thing run out a little wider, a little sooner than I used to also. And I tell you, that's one thing I really kind of figured out the last few times I've been here. I figured that out 20 years ago, but I don't know why I just figured it out, at the end of last year. But man, I just got to where I was passing people around the outside in between these two corners because I was carrying so much more speed through there. And actually on my 600, by doing that, I actually got to where I could carry 4th gear through there. Where I used to always downshift to 3rd. Now I'm carrying 4th gear through there. It's fast. We're not talking about all speed today, nothing like that, but I kind of found that it might have been a little safer too. And I didn't go through there with like more throttle or anything. It was just that much easier to kind of carry momentum through there smoothly and safely. So I kind of liked it. It felt safer and it felt faster. And that's kind of what I like. I like to go fast and be safer. Okay, here we go down into 7. Let's see what he does. Kind of wondering a little bit, but there's a good entry spot right there. He's bringing it down the curve. You can see that. Now I've been staying in this area. This isn't too bad. Maybe a foot or so wider would be good, but that's not a bad line. I'm not really sure who we're studying here, but you can see how you held it tight on the exit. It came out about mid-track, right? I like to come out a little bit wider.
Is that what that'll set you up going into 8 and 9? Just that wide up.
Yeah. Now, there for a little while, it was getting so rough out here that I actually started driving up the inside here, right? And the day I set my track record, I was driving up the inside here of the lap, okay? But I really think that day that I did that time, I think if I was out here a little wider in this area, I think I could have gone faster. I think it could. Because that corner, that little straightaway there, and then the next corner into 8, I felt like that day was my, what was hurting me the most was my times. Where I was mostly making up time was 6 and 15, but I was losing time in 7 and 8. Okay. Now with this line here, right? If we go into 8, what's that do? What's that do with that line?
Such a
Well, it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier. You have to add more lean angle with a tight entry line, okay? And that's not what we want to do. You guys, too? We're almost done. You guys can come on in. Yeah, we had to have a tighter line through here. And the one thing I did like about that line, though, is that it was kind of bumpy out here, right? As you enter turn 8, there was a big bump, right? So the tighter I entered it, the less the bump was, okay? But I also figured out that if I can enter it wider, I carry less lean angle across it, all right? And therefore the bump wasn't as dramatic, because the more lean angle you carry across the bump, the less your suspension is going to soak it up, right? Because your forks are like this going across it, right? Your forks are like this, it soaks it up better, right? Like this, it wants to skip off the bump. And that's what happens. So I found the wider I was kind of entering it, the more it soaked it up. But I will tell you that a wide line through here is really intimidating, okay? Because it's blind. You can't see right here, right? It's really intimidating. So, if you guys that haven't entered this corner wide before, you might want to take it pretty slow, a few laps, and kind of look at it. But maybe play around with that a little bit today, okay? Today is also a really good day, if you haven't noticed, to really kind of slow your pace down a little bit and kind of work on a couple of things we're talking about, okay? And because you know your brain can only think so much, right? And right now, if you guys go out there and you're riding, you know, at your maximum, your brain isn't going to be able to absorb any new material. Okay, so if you guys back it down a little bit, you know, relieve some of your brain, right? What we like to call there is like if you say your brain's working at 100%, right? Well, right now a lot of you guys are using 100% of your brain, just thinking about, you know, shifting, you know, getting your butt over and little things like that, right? Well, we're not going to be able to really open the brain up for this new information I'm giving you if you're still trying to go as fast as you can. Okay, slow down. Give a couple percentage of your brain back so we can work on this, okay? I don't know if you guys have ever done much with or read any of Keith Code's stuff. I'm not a real big fan of his teachings, but there was a couple of things in his book that I kind of liked. One was that he gives you $1 of attention. Okay, I don't know if you guys ever read that part, but it's true. And that's one thing that I've always kind of found, that, you know, if you're giving $1 of attention, and you're spending, you know, 3/4 of it on where your line's going to be and stuff like that, you don't really leave a whole lot more for your shifting your body and stuff like that. Now, guys have been riding for 20 years. You know, I'm only spending about 5 cents on the things that you guys are spending the whole dollar on, right? So I have the time to use the rest of my dollar on little stuff like this, and how to get through 6 and 15 better. And how's my hearing, and how's my tire pressure, and, you know, and what do I really need that extra click of compression or whatnot? Or you guys, you know, you're using so much of your brain right now as it is that you don't have time to think about that stuff. So that's why I kind of encourage you guys to spend some time slowing down and working on what we're teaching on class today. You know, because if you do that today, and when you go ride next time, today that what I'm teaching you may take up your whole dollar, right? The next time you go, as you work on repetition, it may only take up a dime, 5 cents, right? And you can work on the next thing you can work on, right? All right.
So I just learned a new line of 2 seconds.
Yep. Right. Exactly. So you know, that's one thing I can work on. You know, it's not really costing me any of my attention to work on, you know, the things of road racing. So what I spend my rest of my attention on is working on how I can get through 7 faster, how I can get through 8, you know, stuff like that. That's where I'm spending my attention. Okay, which that little stuff like that today would be way too much for you guys to take in if you guys don't slow your pace down and work on it. Okay.